Hey there, guys. Video Psych here. I had to redo that because the first video screwed up there for a moment. But anyway, moving on from that. So, again, what I'm going to talk about today is my old experience from a school I used to go to. It was a Christian school full of women, and it was just mostly full of women. There's just only me and a few other guys me, Jake, Chris, and Aaron. That seriously was, that's just four guys and a whole school full of women. And the only other guys in the school were just like kindergartners, and that was it. Here, I'm like, am I like losing my voice or something? Sorry about that. Yeah, it sounds way better. So, and I have to kind of take a moment to remember some of the stuff because it has been a long time, and I almost kind of screwed up my last video. So where should I start? So I guess the first thing I might say is just kind of like I said in one of my other videos is that you know women are just people. And that's definitely one thing that I learned when I went to the school is that women, seriously, they're just human beings just like us. They have all the same types of desires, and they want to also achieve things as well, etc. Because, and especially a lot of movies when I was growing up kind of gave, I would say, a wrong depiction of women at the time. And of course, a lot of the guys, that the way that they would talk to me about the women sometimes and what they wanted and blah blah blah. Of course, I eventually learned that they didn't know jack shit about women in general. you know and so it's just always funny, so all these guys that they just think that they know what women want and all that and how to talk to women and all that, but most of them really don't. And women especially can tell. Oh my god, it is so easy. I it's not like I can't tell either, but let me tell you guys, women always know, especially when you try to act like you've been laid a lot or whatever. They always know the truth if you've ever actually had sex or not. Like, seriously, almost every time. And for some reason, a lot of guys seem to not know that, but let me tell you guys, women know. They seriously do. They can tell if you're lying about something like that, unless that maybe even sometimes the non-intelligent women can tell if a guy's lying about how much they've been laid or not. Not that it's not easy to tell anyway, like I just said, but I'm just telling you guys. So any of you guys that lie about that, just stop right now because they can tell. But yeah, and another thing, people always laugh at me when I say I've learned how to talk to women. I would say I've generally learned how to talk to women. I can talk to women just fine, and it's always funny too when I say that. They always think, "Oh, you think you know how to get laid or whatever." It's like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. Sure, I could probably get laid, but that's not really what I'm talking about. The thing is, I've just learned how to just talk to women like a human being. And that's what I think a lot of guys seriously just need to do. Is just talk to women like a fucking human being, at least for starters. And maybe that that can also actually lead you to getting laid in the future. It's just when it comes to first talking to a woman in general, just talk to them like a fucking human being. That's also definitely one thing that I've learned about, going to the school is just talk to them like a fucking human being. Stop trying to bring this, you know, shit that you see in the movies, especially, or pickup artistry as they call it. Just stop that shit right now because it's not working. Just talk to them. Especially the intelligent ones. They are going to know. So, and moving on from that, another thing I've learned from it is that there's just so many groups of people, men and women, etc. They're just trying to get into power in some way. And, there are, of course, the women that just want equal rights and everything. And we pretty much have equal rights nowadays, but you get the point. But of course, there are also the women that are trying to push for more than that. There are also women out there that wants to be like, they want to have that same kind of power that men had at one point in the past. They want absolute power, basically. And I can't really say if that's ever actually going to happen, but you just never really know. It'd definitely be the first time in history, or at least one of the first times in history, that something like that has ever happened, where women have entered into that kind of power over men like that. At least in that kind of way, I would say. But yeah, and I guess I'll go slightly off topic, but still kind of on topic here. Just kind of like how when I'm at work, sometimes they will just not get rid of the women at work because all the women in the office are trying to get more and more women to the workplace, right? But it kind of turns out that a couple of the women in this workplace are a bit power hungry. They're trying to have the whole female power thing, right? And so almost no matter what, they are just having these women come to his work that are seriously just slacking off. And of course, I'm not saying that all the women come to my workplace are slacking off. I'm not saying that. But there's definitely some of them that are. And, I know if I say anything about them slacking off, I'm just going to get yelled at. Because again, I'm a guy. And they're going to get power hungry towards me and dommy towards me. So I, of course, can't really say much unless something serious is going on. And of course, I know if I say anything, the lady there sitting there slacking off is just going to cry. And then there's going to be like, oh, poor Emily. You're such a bastard for making Emily cry. And I mean, I might think, well, I don't give a shit. She's slacking off and I'm telling you about it. But that's just the way the world works. And I remember that's also something that used to happen sometimes when I was at that Christian school full of women is, really all they had to do was just fucking cry or something if I got onto them about something they did to me. And it'd be like, poor them all of a sudden, even if they did something really bad to me, like throw rocks at me or something. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing is, yeah, there's always, all groups are looking for power, not just men, not just women. And, it makes things more complicated, but that's just the way the world works. It would be less complicated if everybody just got along. But again, it's like I said, people want, women also want as well. And so that just makes things very complicated because then it makes it feel like we want something, you want something. And then, then it starts to feel like, we're in each other's way sometimes. And then, it gets to the point where people think that men and women are so different because of that, actually, because we both have wants and we're both in each other's way, right? But the reality is we are all just human beings. And that's just the way that human beings work is all that is. That's all that is, I also learned what it looks like when a woman doesn't like you. When you see it in your eyes. You want me to show you? I'll show it to you. Of course, if you don't want to see it, just look away. But here it goes. That's what it looks like when women don't like you. They put their hands up, they look around, they give you a glare. That's what it looks like. And I used to see that sometimes, especially when I would correct them about something when we would get into an argument sometimes. They would get angry at me, look at me like this, and just give me a glare like that, like they didn't like me. Even if I was right, that's how they look at me. And of course, feelings are important. I mean, they really are. There's just one thing though. When somebody does do something wrong to me or anybody else, I just instantly, I don't feel sorry for them. If they cry to me, I don't feel sorry for them. If they seriously did do something that they shouldn't have done, I just don't feel sorry for them. That's definitely another thing that I eventually stopped tolerating in the past, is I stopped feeling sorry for people like that. That's for damn sure. And what else? But yeah, man. But yeah, and also I also kind of had to learn how to I would say kind of had to deal with, I would say discrimination at times. And that was something I had to learn how to kind of deal with at the time. And of course, even after I got out of school, I've been discriminated against over other things, not necessarily somewhat, not very often the color of my skin, at least, thankfully. But just, just things, just being different, or in this case, being a guy. I had to learn how to kind of deal with that. And, I also kind of had to just learn how to roll my eyes when, people would put the man card on me, as I will call it. I keep on losing my fucking voice today. Jesus Christ. And I remember this one time, this was like in the second year that I was at the school. And there's this one time when we were in culinary class. And what was it? One day, of course, the woman I especially didn't like the most just happened to be, one of my partners in the school class. And so at one point during class, every time I picked up either a spoon or a utensil and tried doing something in class, and even tried cooperating with the classmates, of course, who were all female, she just kept on taking the spoon away from me. She kept on taking the utensils away from me. And then she would get really bossy at me. And none of the other women even did anything about it. I mean, they just kind of acted like I wasn't even there and like she wasn't even doing anything wrong. And they just kind of went about their merry way about during the class for the rest of the day, right? And so, of course, the next day, what happened is that I, of course, get in trouble. Right? See, this is seriously what it was like every month, every week. It was seriously like this all the time. And it was almost always something different. So, of course, I get in trouble, right? And then I'm talking to the teacher, who, again, is also female. And I even told her that, hey, I mean, I don't know if you saw anything during class, but she kept on taking the spoon away from me. She wouldn't let me talk to the other girls. And every time I tried to do something, she just bitched at me. And of course, she didn't believe me. I mean, she seriously did not believe me. Like I was just fibbing. And, she was talking down to me and everything as we were talking. And she did not listen to hardly anything that I said to her. It's like, I just don't really get some people sometimes. And yeah, really looking back, I mean, I just really did feel, to this day, I feel sorry for, what was going on at the time to me at the time, because it was just so shitty. But, you also learn how to deal with the shitty times and to get through it and everything. And of course, nobody feels sorry for me when you watch this. I'm over what happened in the past. But, this is also the thing. You also kind of have to just push through. And that's another thing I had to learn at the time. It's just kind of how to push through, these obstacles that were in my way, and just kind of had to deal with it at the time. And that's just how I've kind of dealt with it since then, just obstacles like this. It's just you really the only thing that you can do is just kind of push through, and that's all you can do. And just deal with it for the time being, because the reality is, we don't have the power to do everything. We don't have the power to control everything and get what we want, and that's just life. That's really all that you can do, is just kind of move on and push through. And I guess maybe with that being said, I don't really have a lot else to say. I mean, I have plenty of shit to say. God, there's a lot of shit going on at the time, but I'll just kind of leave it at that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.